By 12, Stephanie had learned not to ask questions, not about the bruises, not about the strangers who stared too long, not about the secrets that haunted the walls of her foster home. She was just another kid in the system, another file, another forgotten birthday. Stephanie knew that she had to take the medicine when it was given to her, be submissive at all times, drink when she was told to drink. She didn't mind it so much anymore because it made her numb. She liked not feeling anything inside or out. During the day, Monday through Friday, she would go to school, and at night she had to attend parties that Darlene and Richard would put on. She hated the parties. She hated how the men touched her, talked to her, and made her call them certain names. Darlene was always in the corner counting the money as Richard stood over Stephanie, making sure she entertained the guests the way they wanted to be entertained. She was a circus animal. When she wasn't attending parties, there was an occasional visit from a man and woman. Stephanie actually looked forward to their visit because they were actually nice to her. They always snuck in some extra snacks that she would have to hide so Darlene and Richard wouldn't find them. She also never had to do anything too crazy with them. Yes, they were sick people, but they were the only ones that were ever nice to Stephanie. She even once begged them to take her. She would tell them she would do anything, but it never happened. School was Stephanie's peace, even though she had no friends and no one to talk to. At school, they called her difficult. She's got a bad attitude. Can't sit still. She's just seeking attention. But what they didn't see was a little girl starving for love, drowning in silence and begging without words to just be safe. They never asked why she flinched when someone raised their voice, why she wore long sleeves even in summer, why her eyes were always searching for the exit. They didn't want her story. They wanted her silent. And she gave them exactly what they wanted. Stephanie had talked once, and it nearly destroyed her. She was told to keep her mouth shut and stop telling lies. If she kept telling lies, bad people would take her away and lock her up. This came from a counselor. So she shut down, not out of defiance, but out of survival. Age 12 came and gone. It was more of a blur than anything. Stephanie just went through the motions. She was becoming a shell. She felt like at times when bad things were happening to her, she would escape her body and stare at herself. This was her way of escaping. Age 13, she was told that there was going to be bigger things expected of her and that she was going to be a big sister. Darlene and Richard were taken in two foster girls. Stephanie begged them not to let these two girls come stay. She tried to tell them that she wanted to be the only girl in the house. Stephanie knew what was going to happen and tried everything to keep those girls from coming. Stephanie was severely beaten for acting out. Darlene had to call a doctor friend that was also a customer of theirs, or should I say of Stephanie's. He came and doctored Stephanie up, and then for payment he was serviced. Richard always called it a service. Stephanie called it pain. Stephanie was determined to keep these two girls from being a victim of Darlene and Richard. She was going to do whatever she could, even if it cost her life. The day they came, it was a Saturday morning. Stephanie was locked in her room to keep her from causing a scene. She heard the doorbell and knew this was her time. Stephanie started to beat on her door and scream for all she was worth. A few minutes went by and Richard comes stomping up the stairs. She knew he was mad, but she didn't care. As soon as that door opened, Stephanie tried running out and screaming. She could see the two girls and the caseworker staring at her. Richard came behind and grabbed her out of view from anyone. She could hear the caseworker ask Darlene what was going on and why she was acting out. Darlene told the lady that Stephanie has been really misbehaving since they made her break up with the boyfriend they didn't approve of. She heard the caseworker say that they were going to leave and that it seems like it was a bad time. Darlene tried to convince her that everything was fine, but they ended up leaving. Stephanie was able to breathe for just a second because she was able to get them to leave. Because of Stephanie's behavior, Richard and Darlene were very angry and decided that she was going to have to be punished for what she did. Darlene and Richard dragged Stephanie down into the basement and put her into what looked like a kennel. This was new. Stephanie had no idea where this came from. The foster parents never had a dog. She was told she was going to be in that cage until she decided to apologize and act right. She wants to act like an animal, then she will be treated like an animal. She thinks she was in there for 3 days. She had lost sense of time. She didn't get food, but only water the whole time she was in the cage. Darlene had told the school she was sick and would be out for a few days. That's usually what would happen when she would have bad bruising and cuts. Stephanie was sick a lot, according to Darlene. Several weeks go by and Stephanie is on her best behavior. She does what she is told and asks no questions. Darlene and Richard decided to take Stephanie to the grocery store with them. She was quite excited to do something normal for a change. Maybe she could convince Richard to get her some candy. She missed chocolate so much and hadn't had any since she was 11. As they walk into the store, Richard takes Stephanie's hand, kisses it, and tells her to go pick out 4 candy bars, whatever she wanted. Stephanie lit up, gave him a hug, and took off to find the candy aisle. She overheard Darlene complaining about Richard letting her go off on her own. Darlene was always pissed about something. She hated Stephanie. As Stephanie was looking for the candy aisle, she noticed a young man staring at her. She was pretty used to it, but she thought he was very cute, so she smiled at him and gave him a little wave. She found the candy aisle and slowly walked down, trying to figure out what she wanted. She knew that she didn't have much time because Darlene would be mad and coming to find her. Stephanie noticed the cute boy walking towards her, and she instantly got nervous. He introduced himself as Chris. He had the prettiest blue eyes that she had ever seen. Chris asked Stephanie if she had ever thought about modeling, and of course Stephanie blew him off thinking he was joking around. Chris wasn't joking. He told Stephanie that she was absolutely stunning and had the most perfect smile. No one has ever told Stephanie that, and she didn't know how to act. Chris handed her a card that had his phone number on it. That's all that was written on the card. He told her to hide it and to not let anyone know that she was talking to him. It was their little secret. Chris kissed her on the forehead and said, "I look forward to your call," and then walked off with a smile and a wink. Stephanie melted like chocolate in the hot sun. She had no idea what to do or even what to say to him as she watched him walk away. Chris had told her that she was special. No one has ever told her she was special in any type of way. Little did she know that Chris was setting her up for a trap. No one warned her. Because no one was watching, not the caseworker, not the school, not the strangers in charge of her file. She was 13 years old and already vanishing in plain sight. But even when the world buried her in labels, troubled, damaged, problem child, Stephanie held on to hope, to fire, to something inside her that refused to go out. She didn't know it yet, but her story wasn't over. It was just about to get louder. Thank you for listening to Stephanie's story. Please stay tuned for episode 4, Vanished in Plain Sight.